Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Craig and Jules with me. Craig, will no European football be a good thing for Arsenal?
Why?
Well, I suppose if you're not in the Europa League, not in the Champions League, you don't have to faff about during the week and just concentrate on the 38 Premier League games.
Won't make a big enough difference to that squad. To be quite frank, the squad depth and the squad quality is not good enough. There are a lot of good players there, or certainly a few, and certainly some good youngsters, but I don't think it will matter much to their season if they were missing out in the Europa League, because the same players are probably going to be making the same mistakes next season as they have been this season. The only upside so far for Arsenal that I can see is the experience some of the younger players are getting, and of course they've got the issue with Aubameyang, who they're going to have to try and keep, and we don't know how that's going to unfold. So, yeah, they've got a new management in. I think there's a bit of a new management structure. They've got some kids getting game experience, but they get too much dead wood, and whether they're in Europe or not, it's not going to make that big a difference, in my opinion.
Mind you, Jules, if I'm an Arsenal fan, I don't want them anywhere near the Europa League next season.
Yeah, I get that side of the argument. You're right in the sense that if you only have one game a week in the Premier League at the weekend, that leaves you far more time to work on things that you want to work at training, which you can't do if you play midweek in Europe and you have to travel, and basically your days are only warm downs pretty much until the next game. So more time to work. I do think that even the Europa League for any club is quite good, and also with a bit of luck, if you win it, and they were very close of winning it last.
It just gets in the way, doesn't it? It's just there.
Yeah, but if you win the Europa League, if you've got a bit of luck, maybe, and you play well in that kind of competition, you qualify for the Champions League, which I doubt they would do through the league even next season. So maybe that's a way of seeing it. But I think you're right. If you had to go pros and cons, the fact that you can just solely focus on the Premier League, having the whole week to prepare your games at the weekend in the Premier League domestically, I think that probably has a biggest advantage than to have to play on Thursday night in the Europa League and then on Sunday again in the league.
I just 1 second, Dan. Clearly you don't want to. Clearly playing on a Thursday and playing on a Sunday is a disadvantage, and you know the extra games are more problematic. I'm not saying it's not more problematic. It is, because obviously you're playing more games, you're more tired, and you're more likely to get injuries. But let me paint it a different way. And as Jules mentioned, it gives you longer in the week to work in your team. The Arsenal issue, team-wise, is not a structural issue. It's an individual issue. So you can work all week on back threes and wing backs and 3-4-3s and 3-5-2s and back fours. You can do it. You can do all that Monday to Friday, twice a day. But it has little effect if the same individual players are making individual errors. So then it's not a structural, it's not a back four not operating together. It's not a holding midfield, not shielding the back four. It's the same people making the same mistakes. And that's not a time thing. That's just an individual thing. And I think that's the biggest issue for Arsenal. And then by that, I'm pointing the finger at the back three in particular of what's his name? David Luiz.
Mustafi.
And who was the other one today again? Kolasinac. That's pointing at those three. They'll make the same mistakes next season, whether they get all week off to train or whether they're in Olympiacos on a Thursday.
How come last year everyone was being harsh on Sarri, even though he got the top four and won the Europa League, but this season no one is talking about Lampard's mistakes, Craig?
Right, let's just get this one out of the way, because clearly people that are tweeting this kind of garbage in have no understanding of the situation. Right. And none of us here, Don apart, that is, a Frank Lampard apologist. But let me paint a slightly different picture, because I know you discussed this with Stevie, I think, regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it's somewhere similar. And Frank Lampard is not going to be beyond criticism if their season unravels. But let me just answer these ludicrous tweets, and this one in particular. Chelsea Football Club lost their best player last season, a player that carried them for over 5 years, who went to Real Madrid, and they had a transfer ban. On top of that, they brought in a manager who's only got 1 year experience in management, and that was in the Championship. Right. There's the difference between a team that was signing players, didn't lose the best player, didn't have a transfer ban, and had a manager who'd been managing for years. Comprende?
However, this is a manager that took them to third, and he's only lost Eden Hazard. I know it's only, but he's done so well with this side, and it just seems to have fallen apart at the wrong time of the season. He's a victim of his own success, I get that, but even so, it's a massive disappointment if they don't make it into the Champions League, surely.
Yeah, but it is a massive disappointment if they don't make it in. But I've already painted the picture of losing your best player and having a transfer ban and having to bring in Tammy Abraham to lead the line, who was on loan at Aston Villa. Mason Mount, who's played in every Premier League game, who was on loan at Derby County. You know, in an ideal world, like Man United, who go out and sign the big money Harry Maguire, and then go out and bring in, you know, one of the most sought after attacking midfielders in Bruno Fernandes. You know, Chelsea didn't have that luxury. So that is the difference between the scenarios. And if people can't understand that, I'll get to the point straight away. They're just thick.
60 million they did spend on Pulisic, though. They did bring in a player, didn't they? Isn't this if they didn't just bring in, didn't have a chance to bring in anybody?
But they had a transfer ban, that's my point.
Yes, but they brought in a new player.
Still had a transfer ban. Honestly.
But he's still got the same defence that he had last year. That hasn't changed, yet they seem to be so porous at the back
he
now.
wants to work with. Just because you've got the same defence doesn't mean that's the same players that you want to work with. And clearly he's searching between that back line, between that back four. We know they've had a problem at left back. We know Alonso's better as a wing back. He's tried everything at the moment. Rudiger's gone from being their most solid defender to a guy who was making mistakes. Then there's Zuma. Then there's Christensen. Then there's young Tomori, who was on loan at Derby County with them. So it's not a free pass for Lampard. Absolutely not. But correct me if I'm wrong. As we speak at the moment, they are in the Champions League football. And factually, they did have a transfer ban. Now, if you're telling me that's not the case, I'll hold my hands up and apologise. If not, stop driving the bus down the wrong road.
Thanks, Don. Meanwhile, thoughts on Messi breaking the assist record when Barcelona are struggling, Jules? He won't care about that, will he, at all?
I don't think so. I don't think he's chasing those kind of records, which is pretty incredible if you think 20 goals and 20 assists minimum, at least in one domestic season. I think only Thierry Henry did it with Arsenal in that quite incredible 03 season, where he scored, I thought it was 33 goals and 20 assists, and they didn't win the league that season. And maybe Messi, with all those numbers, is not going to win the league, which would be a shame, but he shows what a dysfunctional team he is in, really, because despite those incredible numbers and his incredible performances, they're still struggling. They're struggling to play together as a collective. They're struggling to stay in touch with Real Madrid to try and go and win the league. And I don't see them winning the Champions League either this season after the draw on Friday. So he must be thinking, like, come on. I mean, there's not more he can give, really, to that team. And yet, it's still a team that is struggling at times to win games. And it's incredible. And if you think on top of that, and it's got nothing to do with your question, I'm sorry, but that the last Champions League they won was in 2015, and they've had Messi for all those years, and they really only have won 3 since he broke through that first team, or 4 since if you count the 06-1. It's incredible that they didn't win more.
We remember that Champions League final very well.
Craig, you've completely put me off what I was going to ask. Right, if you're Lionel Messi,
Yes, I'd try. Yes, I want to go and. Yes, I know what you're going to ask me, because I've been doing this job too long. I know what you're
35
like.
years, I heard.
37.
37 years.
You're going to ask me, is it time to go to pastures new before the end of his career?
Yes.
There is an argument to say yes. I think the club, the supporters, and all that are still the draw for him, but I don't think there's, as Jill said, there is any doubt about the frustration, about where the team has been going, about the signing policies, about the management, about the president, about the director of football. I think it was at the time, Eric Abidal, making statements about players. The whole thing's been a real mess. That being said, they're not 15 points off the league, but they're unlikely to be domestic winners this year, and they're not favourites for the Champions League. But it's whether somebody else can come up with the money with the wages or the transfer fee to be able to buy, the biggest game changer in world football. And would he fit in Man City under Guardiola and be unbelievable? Absolutely. But they've got all this financial fair play hanging over them with the Court of Arbitration for Sport and their argument with the UEFA. Just who can this guy go to? He's not going to go to Real Madrid. Could Juventus, somehow wangle financial fair play when they've already managed to do it for Ronaldo? I mean, could they pair those two up? I don't think so. So he's probably going to end up staying, I would imagine.
Where could he go, Jules?
I think if he announces that he's leaving Barcelona, I think his phone will never stop ringing, and his dad's phone and his brother's phone will never stop ringing. I think everybody will try to convince him to join them. I don't think many teams can really afford him, but it depends how much money he wants. It depends on a lot of things, but you would think that the day he decides to leave Barcelona, whenever that is, not this summer, I still don't think the following summer, when you'll have the new elections and potentially a new president, and with Xavi coming as the team manager. So maybe the one after that, but he will have to go back to Argentina, finish there his career. I think that's always been really the idea and the plan. And he would be right. I don't think it would be right for him to go and sign for any other European club. I think MLS is always a possibility, but you would think that just the thought of going home and finishing in there with the whole family there will probably get his favourite choice.
With all the controversy regarding handballs this weekend, do you believe that the fouls should be changed or enforced differently? Of course, Atalanta against Juventus, two huge decisions there. And we've seen Italy giving them all season, Craig. Wherever the arm, pretty much, if it hits it, it's going to be a penalty. Like, in your ideal world, how do you fix this?
Cheers. Well, look,
I'll leave you this one.
Certainly penalties. You can't be giving penalties when an arm is across your body, because clearly it's going to strike your body anyway. So it's a difficult one. We've been through all the silhouette conversation last summer. I just don't know. I would have to sit down and spend some time thinking about how the handball law is going to have to be revamped, and I'm clearly not going to do that.
I was going to say, that's your evening sorted. Nice sit down, WhatsApp with Gab and Jules, talk about it all.
Beers, cut the beers, sit down.
Can't wait.
Chat about. Well, I could even throw in a bit of financial fair play, because we know that's a stimulus for Marcotti.
And also the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah,
Ballon d'Or.
Expected goals.
Yeah, I don't mind
Usain
a bit
Bolt.
of expected goals. That's why our boss drops it in the bottom of the graphic. But if he drops it any lower, I'm going to drop kick it into touch.
Here we are then, Craig. It's the question that a lot of people are asking you at the moment. Have you changed your opinion about Ole at United? Is he the right man for the job?
I haven't changed my opinion, no. And I saw a ridiculous tweet from our Twitter feed yesterday, saying, if the Premier League had started in February, Man United would be X, Y, Z, this, that. Well, the Premier League does not start in February. What an utterly stupid thing to say. If it starts in February, United would be this. I mean, look, I sat here when the restart happened and said, look at United's fixtures. They've got the easiest fixtures out the lot. Right. So they're going to get on the front foot. They are on the front foot. They may get the top four. We don't know yet. It looks likely. However, next season, if they can peg back Man City and Liverpool, who'll probably go again in the transfer market, certainly City will, and I expect Liverpool to do some business, then I'll acknowledge it. But until that time, I'm not going to acknowledge a side who, as we speak at the moment, are sitting in fifth in the Premier League. No.
Of course, that could all change on Monday as they take on Southampton. The chance to move up to third in the Premier League for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's
side.
We will be back tomorrow. Are you on tomorrow, Craig, to discuss that?
I haven't looked. I looked at the schedule when it came out on Friday, and I can't remember exactly what it says.
Good.
But I'm not sure. I don't know.
I imagine it'll say golf in the morning, handball law discussion with Jules and Gab
I'm off
in the
on
evening.
Thursday.
What's happening on Thursday?
And I was off yesterday.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Right, that's it.
So
good.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
We maybe Craig. Oh, God, how will we sleep at night, not knowing
What?
whether Craig will be on tomorrow? But we'll try our best. Be sure to join us as we'll be reflecting on that United game, Real Madrid in action as well, plus the results from the Court of Arbitration regarding Manchester City's ban. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.